Now, we're all probably familiar with daydreaming, when the mind wanders for a few minutes before being jolted back into reality. But what if that daydreaming becomes so excessive that it takes up hours of your day? Well, it's called maladaptive daydreaming. When it's excessive, a psychological concept which refers to people who have elaborate fantasies in their mind, often creating their own characters, settings and plots. Well, the term was coined by Eli Somar, Professor of Clinical Psychology at the University of Haifa. He joins us live from there now, and here in the studio we can speak to Daya Barj, who suffers from maladaptive daydreaming. Thank you both for joining us here on the program. I'll start with you, Daya. Just tell me a little bit about your condition.
Well, I've always just had this for as long as I can remember. I don't remember not having it. It's always just been a very strong part of me. I literally get very distracted, and it's hard for me to talk to someone without kind of imagining them as a character in my own world. I have like backgrounds and full history of every character and location, and sometimes even plants and animals, and I make such a elaborate world that I get very caught up in it when I'm trying to live my normal life.
So what actually happens? Do you go between sort of fantasy and reality?
Yeah, I basically have to start getting up and walking around or doing some kind of repetitive motion, and then I start acting out scenes from the world that I'm creating. So it's almost like one very long film, and I'm just acting out all the different scenes that make it up.
Ellie, I'll bring you into this because you actually coined this term. How did you come up with it?
Well, about 17 years ago, I noticed that 6 patients treated in my trauma clinic were reporting an unusual mental activity. They described exactly what your guest in the studio had just described, daydreaming that appeared to have evolved beyond the occasional mind wandering into a very powerful habit that often consumed hours a day. So I described it in a clinical paper at the time, and since then it had caught the attention of countless of individuals around the world who have adopted this term.
But it's not part of the DSM, or the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, is it?
Well, of course not. It's too early. The first paper that I just told you about was published only 15 years ago, with most of the maladaptive daydreaming research published during the past decade. So what we are actually talking about is a newly discovered condition. Nevertheless, the accumulated published literature is quite good, and it suggests that this is a valid and a stable clinical phenomenon that is not better explained by any other known mental or physical disorder. So I'm therefore confident that maladaptive daydreaming will eventually be recognized by mainstream psychiatry.
Could it just be another form of mental health or depression, and you've just given it another name?
Well, we have looked into this issue, and indeed, people with maladaptive daydreaming have been diagnosed and unsuccessfully treated for schizophrenia, for obsessive-compulsive disorder, for attention deficit disorder, and also for depression and post-traumatic stress disorder. No, this disorder is very unique in that it has a volitional, very absorptive, rich fantasy life that is very fanciful. So it is volitional. These are not hallucinations. And it involves pacing and rocking, and and the people are not affected and debilitated like in schizophrenia, which is, for example, a chronic disease in which people seem to have lost touch with reality. People with maladaptive daydreaming know very well the difference between their fantasies and reality.
But is it a form of escapism then?
Yes, it could be defined as a form of escapism because it is very enjoyable. It is a lot of fun to have a very accessible virtual reality in your brain. So we're talking about a special trait that most people don't have, but this group of people have. And this trait can become, it is so much, not only accessible, but very rewarding. So it can become addictive. And people just get hooked up, don't want to do anything else except enjoy this tremendous movies that can run in their heads. And on top of this, people who are suffering from pain, from traumatic memories or social anxiety, of course, can have a compensatory experience in their mind.
Let's just bring Daya into this because, you know, Ellie's described it as something that's enjoyable. I mean, is this something that you enjoy, being in this fantasy world?
Yeah, it's very enjoyable. It's very much like, I see it like an outlet, and it's there that I go in and work out all my problems and any issues and any kind of unfulfillment I'm getting in my day-to-day life. I get it in this fantasy world that I have. So it's something that I have a strong urge to do all the time, and it's easy to just completely cut off from everyone else because of it.
So you're escaping in this world?
Yes, definitely.
But how does that sort of how do you deal then with reality? Because you must have then issues when you come back into reality.
Yeah, it's almost disappointing because in your head you have all these, you make like a mother, a father, all these friends and all the people around you, and you make them exactly how you want them to be. So they act almost the perfect version. So when you see people in reality, you know that they can't actually compete with the ones in your head. So you almost don't want to make the effort to continue being with everyone else and actually living in the real world.
You're a creative writer as well. Is it helping you?
I think it's very much made me a much more descriptive writer because I actually feel like I'm in the story that I'm writing, and it's a really good pool to go to for any little short stories or poems that I want to make.
And how do the people around you, your family and friends, react to it? I mean, do they think there's something wrong with you?
They didn't know for a long time because it's something that I've always seen as very personal, so I kept it private. But when I did tell them, they support me, but I don't think a lot of people believe me, and it's because it's not that well known.
Have you been diagnosed, or I mean, have doctors attempted to diagnose you with bipolar, for example, or schizophrenia?
I have told like 2 therapists about it, and both of them didn't understand what I was talking about, and they assumed that it was either OCD or that it might be like a mild case of schizophrenia. So both of them were completely off. I don't think they understood when I was trying to describe to them.
But you are sort of happy in this space? You're happier in this fantasy world than you are in reality?
So before I really was, because I used to get bullied, so I really saw this as my escape, and this was everything to me. But nowadays I've really learned to control it more, so I can focus in the real world. And so I don't want it to stop because I think it's really great to help me with writing and just dealing with my problems in general. But I know now how to make it less distracting in my life.
Daya, it was fascinating hearing your story, and Dr. Ellie Soma, thank you so much for joining us here on the program.